My name is Brad Chad Porter. I'm the general manager at Rodeo Cinema. I want to talk to you for a few seconds about the Rodeo Cinema Foundation membership program. Rodeo Cinema is Oklahoma City's only nonprofit movie house. We depend on your support beyond your tickets and concessions purchases to keep the lights on and to continue bringing you outstanding film programming. We ask you to consider becoming a member. There are several memberships to choose from, with prices ranging from $50 per year to $5,000 per year. Check out your options at rodeocinema.org/memberships. Thank you in advance for your support.
You like that, old man? You want a piece of me?
Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
Good morning, Vietnam! I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
I feel the need for speed.
I wish I knew how to quit you.
Love means never having to say you're sorry.
You do. You'll shoot your eye out, kid.
What up, film fans? Happy Tuesday. Welcome to episode 311. Welcome to Dream Scenario. You're listening to a new episode of the Cine-Men movie podcast. I am one of your hosts, Juan. I am joined by Ed. What up, man?
Hey, what's up, bud? Doing good?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing fabulous. It's today was a very, very nice day outside. It was still hot, but it wasn't scorching like it usually is. Man, it's hard to believe we're almost done with August.
Yeah, it is crazy on that, dude. I mean,
August?
we're less than 3.5 months away from 2025.
Yeah, if you put it that way, man, this year's flying by. A24 month is almost over. I'm sure you guys are pleading, begging for it to be over. But it's been a fun couple conversations. 2 weeks ago, we started off with Civil War. Me and Ed literally had a Civil War right here. You guys can go back and listen to that episode. Last week, me and Jay had a huge technical difficulty on the Priscilla episode, but you guys can still go back and check that out. Still a fun conversation. Hopefully, we got a knock on something. We don't have any interruptions during today's review of Dream Scenario, which is what we're going to be talking about today. And then September, man, we'll go through September. September is jam packed, and you know what's in September, man?
What's that?
It's our anniversary show.
The 13th.
Yeah, 6 years of the Cine-Men movie podcast. It's insane. We'll talk some fun memories. You know what we're going to be reviewing that week too, right?
What's that?
We'll be talking about Beetlejuice for the anniversary show. That should be a fun conversation, man. I can't wait to go see that on the big screen. So,
just one more time, and he's here. No, I'm just kidding.
You know, way back when, that was one of the movies that was very, very highly recommended to be the very first episode.
Yeah.
Psycho, Beetlejuice, Halloween. What was the other one? RoboCop.
Yeah.
So, man. But now we're getting ready to get into some recent watches, man. Have you checked anything out recently that you want to maybe recommend?
Man, I've pumped my numbers up a little bit in my absence this past week.
Okay.
I gone through the entire trilogy of Fear Street. That is 1994, 1978, and 1666. I have gone through Fast and the Furious 6 as well. Man, I think that they got a really, really good thing when they did Fear Street. I really do. It's different, but at the same time, it follows tropes, but at the same time, it keeps it a bit fresh. Almost nobody is safe because there are characters that you grow to like or appreciate and that do get offed throughout the trilogy. Um, it is a episode-ish trilogy in a way, even though they are separate movies. But they are a trilogy that you have to watch back to back to back. And part 1 is 94, part 2 is 78, and part 3 is 1666. Yeah, I definitely would recommend that to go ahead and watch. I thought that was really good. So, yeah.
Nice. A few weeks ago, I went through just a complete. I was on vacation. I went to the movies everywhere. Checked out a bunch of different stuff. But this week, it's been of a slower week. I have went through the Mad Max trilogy, the original 3 so far. Uh, I'm getting ready for Furiosa, which we'll be talking about in September. I thought they were okay movies. The first one, the second one were the best. The third one's kind of eh. I checked out Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. And then I went to the theater and I checked out Trap and Alien Romulus. Alien is probably by far one of the best movies I've seen all year. Checking it out on the IMAX was completely insane. It was loud, it was dark, it was creepy. Um, top notch horror movie of the year so far. I honestly can't wait to talk about it. I'm sure we'll review it when it hits Blu-ray. And yeah, so far one of my favorite movies of the year. Checked out Dream Scenario for today's episode. So if I had to recommend anything, go to the theater, guys, and check out Alien Romulus. Fantastic, fantastic movie. Something you definitely want to see on the big screen. And I think this is the last week to see Trap before they pull it out of the theater already. So go see Trap. And you know what? Dream Scenario, man, I recommend it. It's on Max. So
Yep, that's what I got to watch it on. Funny enough, I didn't even realize it was there until Saturday. Saturday is when I realized it was on Max, and yeah.
Other than that, if you guys want to check out any of our latest episodes,
Special guest.
social media is everywhere. Check out all of our links to our past episodes. Ed, how do they find the social medias?
Too easy. All right, you go to that facebook.com, you type in / the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. That is TheCinemen Movie Podcast. You go to the Instagram at the same, the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. X is Cine-Men 405. That is Cinemen 405. And the email, of course, is cinemen921 at gmail.com. Go ahead and email us, interact with us. We love to hear it. We love to hear from you. Plain and simple as that, man.
Plain and simple.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Go check us out. Before we get into today's episode, we can also talk about San Marcos Mexican Restaurant. Go check it out. Great food, even better customer service. Located at 2301 Southwest 59th Street, right here in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. If you wanted to go order, hit them up at 405-685-7773. Let them know that the Cine-Men Movie Podcast sent you. Get 10% off your entire purchase. It's the only dine-in restaurant of the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. But let's dig into the meat and potatoes of today's episode. We are talking Dream Scenario. It's an A24 movie from last year. IMDb has it at 6.9. Rotten Tomatoes at 91%. The Metascore is 74. The Letterboxd is at 3.4. With a $8 million budget, this movie did only gross $12.4 million at the box office. An ordinary family man finds his life turned upside down when strangers suddenly start seeing him in their dreams. Starring Lily Bird, Nicolas Cage, Julianne Nicholson, Jessica Clement, David Klein, Tim Meadows, Michael Cera. Written and directed by Christopher Borlorgi. So,
bless you.
Yeah, let's dig into it, man. Is this your first time watching it? And if so, what was it like? A few short words when it was over.
First time watching it, first time ever hearing about it was just this past week. What was over? Just a big ass ad. Like it just feels like an ad.
You talk about the ending.
Yeah, I mean, to me, and I'm not saying it's like cheap or something like that because it definitely ain't cheap, but it just feels like you're messing with it. I don't know, man. It feels like a YouTube ad that's gone on for too damn long and too
So I agree with the
big
ending.
of a story.
That's we've already jumped to the ending. That's how the ending feels. Um,
Well, like I'm saying, it just feels like too big of a story for just just a simple here you go, kind of thing.
well, let's dig into it. Dream Effect is the name of the game. You automatically see Nicolas Cage in his daughter's dream, and the first, I guess, scenario of everybody's first thought and dream of him is that he's just observing, and he's not helping anybody in the dream. He's just simply there. Um,
It was just a dream walker essentially,
yeah, and
without being a dream walker.
he's a college professor. Random people are just dreaming about him. Um, and like the thing that's kind of crazy to me, at least, is like I feel like this whole thing
Hmm.
is evolved around Paul's relationship with his wife Janet. Like I feel like that's the entire relationship of the entire movie.
I feel more like it's that, but at the same time, it's him. Um, I feel like he is the central piece more than just the dreams. I don't feel like the dreams are necessarily the central piece of the movie. I feel like it's more the relationship, like you say, but even deeper than that, it more feels like how he feels in the relationship because at first he's not seen, he's not really outgoing, he's a gray person, he's a person that you can pass by. So okay, I've wanted to do this on my own just because of dreams anyways, personal reasons, blah blah blah. Dreams, you can, okay, if you see a face, like a physical face that is not just blank, it means you have either interacted with this person or passed by this person and looked in their way. Now that doesn't mean you need to, directly stare at this person. However, we don't just dream up a random face. It could even be someone on TV or a movie or on the news that you've seen one day. You could have a dream about Kelly Ogle for some weird reason, and he's just kind of sitting across from you having dinner, and you're just about to leave for
Here we
no
go.
weird reason.
Right.
There are several different studies that say you cannot dream a random unmet or unseen person, basically. So the fact that so many people are dreaming of him does and doesn't make sense in some ways. It does, with the students and stuff like that,
Now
because
let's talk about that interesting fact, because in the movie, the only people that really come out and say they're dreaming about him are the people that in fact have seen him.
right.
There's
It
there's
it's
there's nobody in the movie, I think, that steps up and says, "Oh, I'm dreaming about you, and I've never seen you before in my life."
not necessarily, but there are random interactions. There are, people on Twitter going on that come out after he has gone on the episode and all
But
that.
but they also talk about how that could just be the Mandela effect. They saw his face, go viral on social media, and then maybe they start dreaming about him after that.
Right, but I mean, at the same time, it's the one woman at the dinner party who had never met him, doesn't know him. That's she doesn't tell him, but she does at the one of Richard's dinner parties.
Technically, but the husband is very good friends with Paul. So she's had to have seen his face
No, no, no,
somewhere.
no, 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 not that lady. Not that lady. It's a whole different one. Okay, the first dinner party that you actually see that
Because the very first person that says she's dreaming about him was his ex-girlfriend.
correct.
Yeah.
Not that. I'm talking about later on in the dinner party where it's Richard at the head of the table and then to his direct right, so stage left but direct right, is the woman who he's being told about this dream and that she's telling the table, as well as on her direct right there is a man that looks like a slightly older version of Paul. And I mean, of course, it's on do this, um, but they bring up a picture of him and show her, and she's like, and then it goes to a silent conversation that you don't hear, which basically is like, oh yes, that is him. Oh my God, who is this guy? Why am I having dreams? Stuff like that.
I feel
Um,
like you mentioned it earlier.
mhm.
He's somebody who definitely doesn't get he's first off, when all this stuff happens, he goes viral. He's completely amazed by it. He's obsessed, but he's also like he's humble about it.
Confused.
But he's also humble about it in a way because everybody around him. I don't know if I'm sure you picked up on this. His wife, his kids. He completely gets no respect from
Yeah,
either one of them.
from
And
any of them.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, and he also like that could also go to the fact of when he goes and has an interaction with his ex-girlfriend. um he doesn't even include his wife. He's like, oh yeah, we can meet and have coffee and exchange information.
I mean, it's kind of him not being seen. It's him not being respected. It's him not being. Um, Honestly, it's just his. Like I said, he's a gray person. He's a person that just blends in. He doesn't have an outstanding feature. He doesn't have outstanding qualities. He's got these huge, octagonal or hexagonal glasses. He's got a decent beard, but just a regular beard. He's got the balding, the male pattern baldness, affecting him. He's not necessarily built. He's not necessarily fat. He's not necessarily skinny. He's not huge in height, but he's not necessarily small. He's
You and the
like an
film
average.
and the film does a really good job of just making you feel super sorry for this guy. Like at one
Nicholas
point,
Cage did very well in that
yeah,
role.
dude, Nicolas Cage was phenomenal in this movie. Um, I don't think at any point I felt like he deserved any of the bad stuff that ended up happening to him at
Mm,
the end of towards the end of the film. Um, and
not at
it's just,
all.
yeah, and it's just like, man, uh,
Because I mean, okay, essentially, it's like having a rumor started about you.
yeah,
And if I go ahead and say, well, Juan doesn't wear his headphones during the interview, why does that matter? Well, it does, because then he doesn't even care to hear the guest. It matters, and going on this huge tangent about something small. Yes, understandably that the dreams are traumatic eventually. At first it's just standing there or by and
and
you
people were
know
wanting to take pictures with him. His class was super super full. He was like, oh,
viral,
yeah, he was like, okay, I'll give you guys 5 minutes. Not even to
but
mention the
goes
media.
on a full tangent.
The media company reached out to him about a book deal, signing his life rights away for a movie, Sprite. They wanted to get him drinking Sprite.
Yeah.
Supposedly, even Obama was wanting to do something with him. And this movie also feels like, let's talk, because this movie came out last year where a bunch of people and a bunch of things were getting, everybody was so fascinated with cancer culture. And even though this movie came out last year, this movie was being written between, let's say, probably 2020 and 2023, even a little bit maybe before that. And it was just like, I like how it showed you just as soon as you can go viral and it can be all given to you, it can also be taken away with just a matter of one moment.
Well, you go ahead and look at different people that do get overnight famous. And I'm not trying to, be any type of way or any type of person, not calling out anybody, but I'm just using examples. The girl from Haktua, she may not even do any of that. She
Right.
simply said it. And either what she said, how she looks, the accent she has, something about that interaction, just overnight celebrity. And then for like a week, people are like, who is she? Who was she? Who is she? We've got to find her now,
She got fired from her job.
Yeah, or even talked about fired from jobs. You've got the girl, the Chick-fil-A girl, who apparently was playing around with a cousin of hers
See, I didn't hear
while
this.
taking her order. Okay, there's a girl that basically was just kind of being a bit overzealous with an order, and she was making faces, and people at first thought she might have been on something, and she's like, no, I wasn't on something. I was messing with a cousin of mine or something like that, a family member. And she was like making faces to where it was huge eyes and over exaggerated facial, just
Right.
like no Chick-fil-A sauce, to where it was taken out of context with the company. And of course, Chick-fil-A is, a religious company, and they want to be in a certain light and all that good stuff. So, far be it on their own stuff. It's not, I don't work for them, no association, except for I've had their food. As simple as that. Anyways, she got fired from it, or fired because of it. And I mean, it's more she was kind of promoting the sauce, but at the same time messing with her cousin. And then at the same time, just, I mean, I guess I can see it to where some people thought she was on, but she was kind of famous for, I'd say, a good month and a half, maybe 4 or 5 weeks.
Hmm.
It gone huge on TikTok and, stuff like that. But
That'd be like if my cousin just randomly showed up at my job, which is this podcast, and made faces at me. And anyway,
what asshole would do that, bro? You must have assholes for cousins. I swear. Pinche putos. Nah, just kidding. But in this scenario, yes, there's that uphill climb and that, oh crap, this is new, and all that. But then also on the other end, there's that disturbingly,
so before we get into the dark dreams, I did want to bring up that speaking of scenarios, it's weird.
Okay.
She eats with him, she sleeps with him, she argues with him, she fucks him. Janet did not have any dreams about him whatsoever in the entire movie up until the ending, we think. But we'll talk about that later. But like,
Yeah.
she didn't dream about him at all. And I'm kind of like,
or at least she says she didn't,
right.
because he over time asked several times.
Yeah. I also just find it fascinating that they mention that he took her last name. Maybe that shows you that shows you how much power he really doesn't have in the household in this scenario.
I mean, I get going against traditional values because it is what it is. Do your thing, like
Right.
as long as it's for both people.
Yeah, there's
the
no
marriage
judgment.
is supposed to be about.
There's no judgment here.
But to go from we thought, well, no, I thought, no, it's a we thing. No, you got overruled, is what that was.
Yeah.
To the ex-girlfriend, because she mentions, oh, you changed your last name, and goes into that speech. But it does show another part that he doesn't have much respect. B, who knows? Maybe she did that because she didn't want to go ahead and change all her stuff.
Yeah.
She just wanted him to do all that instead. And, which, I mean, as a husband, like I've seen my wife do that, it's a process at times, but I don't know, man. It's a ton of stuff that is crazy about this entire thing, that little drops make and form this coagulated bath bomb of toxicity. But you go on, and essentially the change in direction of all this is when he meets up with Molly. He goes into the little board meeting with thoughts,
Michael
and
Cera.
Michael Cera. I know, right? That was a
Hmm.
surprise. That was cool. But goes into this board meeting with thoughts and meets Molly, and she hints to him that she basically had kind of sexual dreams with him in it.
Which at
Uh,
first, when she and I want to say when everybody describes their dark dreams about him, this movie is very good about making it really creepy looking.
he does look like a psychopath, for that matter. He does very well in that. Um, but basically, he's in town because he's in a whole different city, probably a whole different state, to be honest.
Yep.
And so he's in a hotel. She brings him back to Molly brings Paul back to her place, and they act out the dream. Which some people have these fantasies, but she acts it out, and she goes and has him do everything. But when the point uh, starts to happen, he ends abruptly and very quickly. Um, it's kind of one of those things to where right after that happens, like he has a horrible night and all that stuff. She doesn't have a very good time either. But right after that happens, everything changes in this movie. It takes its nosedive. This dream scenario becomes a nightmare scenario for him and for others. And you know, he even gets referenced to Freddy Krueger.
Which is funny.
Well, no, not only that, but then you notice that they had him put on a glove that was reminiscent of it too.
Yeah.
If I was him, if I was Paul Matthews in life with that glove, I would have ripped that chair up as much as I could have, dude. I would have messed that chair up. Um, so everybody starts having nightmares, torture, murder, rape um, scenarios happen in their dreams. Um, and it depicts about half a dozen, five or six, about that many, and they're not very fun. They don't seem like they're very fun at all.
No, there's super creepy. There's even one
Mhm.
that I like where he is dreaming. It almost looks like about himself, and he shoots himself with the arrows.
No, that was him.
He was dreaming about himself, though, right?
That the hunter was him as
Yeah,
well.
yeah,
Yes,
right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like he's in both dreams. He's the victim and the killer.
which I will say that the wife is probably the downfall in my opinion
Same. So
because
I wanted to ask you. You brought up Molly
mhm,
when he was getting ready to go have a drink with Molly,
mhm.
and his wife was like, "Oh yeah, it's just me and what's the other guy's name?" It was just her and somebody else at the house, and the kids were trick or treating. Do you think she was doing something?
Yeah, I mean honestly, especially I think the ribbon for that one was the play when because don't get me wrong, like you're married to me. Like if I had two daughters and or a daughter and my daughter was in a play, yeah, I'm gonna be there. And if I leave and come back for a bathroom break or something like that, and another man is sitting in my chair, you're going to move. I don't care. Or but it's more just that is the bow to me that gone ahead and defined what that uh the edge of that was going to be.
Okay, so this movie does say dark comedy. What did you think about the scene where he tries to act out Molly's dream and
Awkward.
he starts farting and then she undoes his belt and he just comes.
It's I mean, don't get me wrong, it's nerves, obviously, B, obviously, him and his wife don't do much at all. That's 100% obvious right there. I can tell you that right off the bat. Um,
I wish this movie did. I know it's a dream scenario, and I know it's mostly about Nick Cage, but I do kind of wish this movie made the wife look more evil than it made her out to be. I wish she did. I mean, don't get me wrong. There are scenes where she looks like she's the one who is the true like evil person, But I wish it did a little bit more back telling of, hey, she's mean.
in its subtleties, it does. It's extremely subtle and calm down, but it does. Because you go from happy marriage and all that to jealousy to I just don't give a shit about you anymore. And I'm not even talking about, the ending. I'm talking about around the time that he goes to sleep on the couch. Like she turns the lights off on him. The fuck is wrong? Like no, that would have been a big ass fight right there.
Well, hell, even him going down and spending the night on the couch.
I mean, don't get me wrong. That I can understand needing your space for a bit. I can understand that. But blatantly being an ass like that is there's no reason. I know. But with that,
And then you have the scene where the kids, there's the therapy group session in the gym.
dude, that
and,
pissed me off.
and then he goes outside. He sees that the word "loser" is all over his car, and that's all they needed. That was the one instant where he snapped, and that's all the video people needed to completely just
Tear him
show
apart.
Yeah.
And I mean, don't get me wrong. Should he have handled that differently? Yes, because in nowadays and times, when you're on camera, you do have to go ahead and because even this, you're putting out part of yourself for the world to see, and not everybody has the same opinions.
Correct.
But the worst thing that is a reality is that everybody's opinions are sacred to themselves. Nobody is able to, have an argument and be okay with the other person. Like, don't get me wrong, just because me and you have an argument doesn't mean like I hate you. I'm not going to be on this
Right.
podcast. I don't want to see you in real life.
Right.
Not at all. I can go ahead and have an argument with you on the podcast and I can be furious about it and then go and hang out with you in 20 minutes, after we shut off the cameras
Yeah.
and be just fine and either kick your ass in Madden or I get my ass kicked in Madden, which is most of the time the regular.
We'll be at a Hooters by 8:30.
Or that is a possibility too.
Yeah.
We've done before, but because I mean, they're wrong. We took, an oath of this doesn't affect our real life. This is what it is on camera. And yes, it's our real opinions. Yes, it's raw. But
like at the end
there's
of the
that
day,
line.
if he would have just took the loser and the car being painted and just got in his car, who knows? I think he still would have had to been forced to take the sabbatical.
Honestly, I do too, but at the same time, he could have even just like, hey, who done this? Like, what's going on here? I'm not the bad guy. I have done nothing to you. I don't understand why you're lashing out at me. I understand that you're not comfortable with me, and that's fine. We'll get over that when we can.
And I know,
but don't attack me for not doing anything for it to you.
He didn't have a big role in this movie, but I got applause also Tim Meadows, who plays the dean, who he really wants to be on Paul's side, but again he's in the middle. He's got students to look out for. But at the end of the day, I'm with like Nicolas Cage's character. I'm like, man, he did not do anything.
And that's because don't get me wrong, like if Nicolas Cage had, if that accident with the one teacher with the finger had happened, I get that. That part I get. Yes, it was still an accident, but I get it. If that had happened before he got, basically fired, I can understand why. But he'd literally done nothing except for answer questions and, push into everything that all these people were trying to throw at him. That's all he did wrong. And I mean, that if that's wrong, then holy crap, what's right? But there was a ton that was good about it. There was some stuff that was kind of infuriating and kind of like a little irritating about it, about the film. Uh,
Let's
that
let's talk
just
about let's talk about some of the negatives. Um, to me, my only big negative about the movie is I did not like the ending. Other than that, I love the way it started. I love the dream scenarios, the scenes of people explaining the good and the bad dreams. I like the dinner party, um, the one where there's supposed to be like six people and only the four show up and they're like, "Hey, yeah, she had a bad dream about you. You got to go."
well
Why?
that and that everybody else was uncomfortable around him too.
Yeah, the gym scene. Um, I want to talk about the. I had it written down. The scene where he's in the diner just enjoying his food.
Oh my god, bro.
I know that infuriated the hell out of you.
Yeah, because man, yeah, I would have looked at everybody and been like, okay, I ain't paying. Like that's on him. That's his tab. He has his. No, I'm not paying for shit. I would have
Well,
walked straight up
he
out of that.
he kind of did. He was like, "No, I'm reading my book. I'm enjoying my food. I'm not bothering anybody. I'm gonna stay here and eat my food."
No, I mean I agree with that. But once he spit in the food, like I would have been like, yeah, no, this needs to be taken care of now because I ain't done. Because I mean that's the thing, man. Is that so? And maybe this wasn't about woke or cancel or anything like that. Okay, fair enough. But there's so much that can go wrong in just seconds, man. Seconds.
Yeah.
And I mean, cancel culture, it is what it is. Yes, some people deserve it. I mean, they're wrong. Some people do. And no, I don't need to name any names. It's out there in the public already. But when you've done nothing like he did, like I get the effect of the Mandela effect of everybody's having these dreams. Who is this guy? What is he doing? I get it, but at the same time, until like I thought it was innocent until proven guilty, not
Hmm.
guilty until proven innocent.
Well, I think that's also what the movie is was trying to push out because you had so many other different things going on too.
Hmm.
But I mean, it could have just been a dark comedy with and that's all it could have been about. But that's the thing I like about certain A24 movies is here's the subject matter. This is what we think you think it's about, but there's a whole topic of conversation of what it really could be, what it's not. And at the end of the day, when you have somebody like Nicolas Cage just balling out and like this dude in this role playing Paul Matthews, to me, I thought he was phenomenal. He made me want to laugh for him, cry. I hated for him. There's scenes where I was like, "Come on, Paul, stand up. Do your fucking job." I wanted. I literally had different emotions for this movie through
Hmm.
Paul's eyes, and then the way it was shot, like the cinematography. It. I know we're at the end of August, so we're still far from November, which the movie was taking place in, but just watching it, it
Yeah,
felt like a nice fall crisp movie. Like the wide shots was phenomenal. I loved the score, how it felt like it was a dark, like it could have been like a horror score, but yet it also could have been like a lighthearted, funny weatherman movie, which
yeah.
Nicholas Cage has played one of those as well. Um,
Or
so
it could have been like a prequel to Con Air.
there you go.
It drove him insane. He grew his hair out and he got really strong.
So let's talk about the ending because that's where I kind of had just a little bit of an issue with. The movie flew by for me. Let's not, at least for me. Um,
So
maybe maybe until we got to the end where it felt like it was maybe months later and they didn't even really do much explaining. It was the end of Nicolas Cage's story, and it went straight into the Norio or the Norio,
yeah, I
the
was about to
Dream
say
Machine. It went
the
straight into the
bracelet.
Yeah, it went straight into the Dream Machine. Come to find out, Nicolas Cage went and got a divorce, or is going through a divorce.
Yep.
Um, he's gonna go. He's going through the separation. He's going to France with a book signing. He got a book deal, and there's still some backlash from what had happened. So they put him like down in a small basement, and people are lined up to get his signature. The light fixture falls, and he cracks his head open. Um, and then it kind of just talked about the bracelet again, and then it went into Janet's dream, and then it was over.
Yep.
So that's kind of where I wanted a little bit more comfort from Paul's story. What about you?
To me, another uh, what is it? Old Men, or No Country for Old Men. The great, really good movie. Like, I don't think this is as good as No Country for Old Men, but good movie, and it shit itself. It shit the bed at the end. Like, I get the product placement. I'm fine with the product placement. Cool, good for you.
But it's not a real
No,
product
no,
at
no,
all.
no,
So
no.
that's why I'm like, why are they pushing this fake dream bracelet? Unless the only other thing I could think of is that it made me think, did Paul have something to do with really trying to get into people's dreams? It made me second guess that just a little bit.
And see, that's the thing. I think that's what is wanting to be pushed, but I don't think it has much connection other than using the hype from it,
Yeah.
using the aftermath from it. I just think that, and especially with the kids, like, the collegiate kids getting all the, you know recognition for it and all that good stuff, because now they'll, instead of losers who disbanded a man's life, they are these little VIP guests in a company now,
They got rich off of some man's nightmares.
literally.
Yeah.
And I mean, I get, don't get me wrong, I get having nightmares. I get being afraid of some stuff. I do having anxiety or having trauma. But at the same time, like, he didn't attack anybody. He didn't try and kill anybody. He didn't try to rape anybody. He didn't try to do any of it. I mean, the stuff with Molly, she wanted it more than him.
Yeah.
You do understand I'm married. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You can call it or stop it whenever you want. Okay, he was basically like, look, really, uh, the only person that even the only two people partially physically attacked was the teacher and then the bald guy. The bald guy started that shit.
Yep.
The teacher, well, I mean, they're wrong. Like, it's wrong of them to have barred him from seeing his daughter in the play. Honestly, they should have been like, okay, since they're all uncomfortable, we'll go ahead and do this for you. Go up in the control panel box. As long
There
as you
you
don't
go.
touch anything in there, there you go. You're able to watch your daughter. So it makes me think, in a way, did the mom do this? Did the mom do that so she could get the guy from her job out there and have her little fling and all that as your new dad's here,
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of how I also felt like, man, I just wish I had a little bit more clarity
Mhm.
of the ending of the relationship, and then what does the dream mean at the end?
Because essentially it means jack shit.
Because he technically, but she talks about how, oh, I would want you to come rescue me on a horse, and
Naked
that's
on a
kind of,
horse with
yeah,
a big penis.
and
Like,
he's not naked at the end of the movie, but he's on a horse and he looks like he's trying to rescue her. I don't know.
and I mean, don't get me wrong, maybe she wants him to step out of his comfort zone and actually do something uh noble or brave and all that, but don't get me wrong, not every guy is set up to be the knight in shining armor. Some guys are just a regular guy making the armor,
Yeah,
to where not every woman is supposed to be the model.
yeah,
Sometimes they're the makeup artist. Doesn't mean they're not, as valuable. It's just a different role. That's all it
that's,
is.
that's true. Um, you got a favorite scene from Dream Scenario?
um, I mean, honestly, not really. If I could go ahead and pick one that I think was kind of cool, I guess the the questionnaire scene in the college classroom where everybody was like, "Hey," it was
They were
kind of
sharing.
cool.
They were sharing their first dream.
hmm It was kind of cool just to see the interactions and the passionate, side of it, rather than the villainous
The
side of
negative
it.
side. Yeah. I would agree. I think that's a good scene where everybody is describing their dream, and he's kind of just like observing. Um,
And it was fun just to see a few different scenarios, literally.
yeah. I'm not gonna lie. I thought the scene where he just randomly shows up in his daughter's dream and he's got that crazy look on his face and he's like walking like one of the bushwhackers. That was a creep. That was a
Dude,
creepy scene.
it was.
Um, Again, I like the wide shots and the cinematography and the just the feel of the feeling like a fall crisp movie. Um, and then I like the interaction with him and um, Molly. I thought that was just like an awkward, funny, weird, uh, kind of scene that shows you he really craves that sort of attention from his wife.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And then another scene that we didn't really talk about, but the scene where that kind of crazy guy breaks into the house, and that's where everything starts going downhill. I thought that was a creepy scene. So
Yeah. And I mean, I think the only reason it started going downhill potentially from is because she pretty much was like, "Oh well, he ain't gonna do shit to protect us,"
yeah,
because she kept hollering at him, "Do something, do something. Why don't you do something?" Because I mean, you could tell he was kind of a pacifist. You could tell I mean, he even said he didn't want guns. He,
yep,
didn't want to move or anything like that. She was like, "Well, this is the house I grew up in. This is my childhood home." And to me, I'm just like, I wouldn't have wondered what was going to happen to the guy. Oh, so you're meaning he can get out? I wouldn't have wondered that. I would have wondered, how did he get in so easily?
yeah.
Because I've got two teenage daughters. I've got my wife. Like,
Well, it
I'm
looks like
wanting to protect.
you can kind of tell from the neighborhood and maybe his job and her job that they're probably in one of those really safe like neighborhoods, and maybe they had a door open or something, and it was fall,
Potential.
so maybe a window is open.
Potential.
Um, but before we get into star rating again, let's have another word from Rodeo Cinema.
Hello, my name is Brad Chad Porter. I'm the general manager at Rodeo Cinema. I want to talk to you for a few seconds about the Rodeo Cinema Foundation membership program. Rodeo Cinema is Oklahoma City's only nonprofit movie house. We depend on your support beyond your tickets and concessions purchases to keep the lights on and to continue bringing you outstanding film programming. We ask you to consider becoming a member. There are several memberships to choose from, with prices ranging from $50 per year to $5,000 per year. Check out your options at rodeocinema.org/memberships. Thank you in advance for your support.
Star rating for Dream Scenario. I'll get it out of the way. I'll go first. I think I'm going to give Dream Scenario a 3.5.
I guess I'm going to be the slightly bigger villain and go with a 3.
Not too bad. It's not terrible. Again, I thought the movie was great. It flew by for me. Love the way it was shot. I just did not like the ending. The ending did not do it for me whatsoever.
It
Um,
didn't, dude.
yeah,
It shit the bed. It really did.
but 3.5, not too bad for me. 3 for you, not too bad either.
No.
Um,
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'll say this. What makes it a 3 is the fact that Nicolas Cage gives an amazing performance all the way around in this. Without him, I don't really know how this would have been, honestly.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
yes,
agree.
you could have gotten another actor, whether medium or high.
You know who
And,
could have been? You know who also could have done really good in this? Who right now is doing a lot of A24 movies, and that's Joaquin Phoenix.
yeah, he could have.
Yeah,
Or hell, even honestly, for some reason, my mind went to Paul Rudd.
I don't know about that.
That's why I was just like, I don't know why, but it did.
Tomorrow, live on this YouTube channel, Emisawa Productions YouTube channel, and on Facebook Live, we're gonna talk Knock at the Cabin. Last week we reviewed Trap. This week we will do another M Night Shyamalan movie and not direct. We will review Knock at the Cabin. That's another new episode tomorrow on Friday the 14th podcast. Next week, on the final episode of August already, August 27th, it's on HBO Max. We are going to review Love Lies Bleeding. If you think this movie had like a weird metaphor to it, this one is a lot more complex. It's real simple. Um, Revenge gets ripped. It's about two people getting revenge on somebody. So again, only an hour and 40-minute movie. It's kind of like a crime uh, crime thriller, kind of, I guess. So that's on HBO Max. That's what's going to end A24 month. Next Tuesday, August 27th, A24 month ends with Love Lies Bleeding. Uh, so yeah, that should be fun.
It's
And then
crazy, right?
September kicks off with Clerks 2, Beetlejuice, Furiosa, and
A
then
Mad Max saga.
we end September with another Nicolas Cage movie, Longlegs. So should be a fun month of September, guys. But next week, Love Lies Bleeding. Ed, do you have another anything to say before we snag out of here?
Nah, man. Don't do anything in anybody else's dreams, man. It might get you canceled, might get you hurt, might get you divorced. You never know.
Uh-oh.
I
Something
know,
that's
right?
not canceled, knock on wood, is us. We'll see you next week for another new episode of the Cine-Men Movie Podcast.